Here's what he said. Can't believe this is Rico Quitongo of Airdrie. Can't believe I'm actually writing this, but here goes. Saturday at my football game away to Queen's Park, I was subjected to racial abuse by one of my own Airdrie supporters. Now, as I'm not surprised with this still in football, I'm more hugely disappointed to hear it from a section where my family would normally be sitting. Thankfully, my family weren't there, but it makes no difference. It shouldn't be in football, says Rico, and I absolutely don't deserve to be personally abused for my skin colour. I'm all for banter with fans, etc., but I will not tolerate it whatsoever. I'm proud to be black and proud to be who I am. I may not be the best footballer for fans, but I shouldn't be singled out, period. The club have a pending investigation and are supporting me as much as they can, but you can't always catch the idiots that make these remarks, which upsets me. This is not a cry for sympathy, as it's the last thing I'd want, but more needs done for cowards to change. Marv?
Yeah, I spoke to Rico on the way here, actually, about this incident. It's been the first time I've been able to speak to him, obviously, since he sent the tweet out. I'm fully with him. First and foremost, I'm there to support him as a person. I know just how horrible it is. I've been on the receiving end of it. One thing that did come out of it was that a teammate's father said to the guy that, that's out of order. You shouldn't be saying these things. But listen, we kind of point the finger rather at other places in Europe, and now it's rearing its head here, and I want to see what's done about it. There's a few things that I won't speak about on air that I spoke to Rico about that I'm not happy with, that's gone on since the incident, and it's time for people to basically launch this investigation and very, very quickly find out what's going on and who it was. If that's not done, then as I said, I'll put myself at the forefront again with Rico about this, and we'll speak about the things that should have been done that weren't done. It's no longer acceptable. I don't think it should have ever been accepted, but it seems for a time that it had been. It's a 22-year-old boy, and I spoke to him, and he said, like you said, his mum and his brother were due to be at the game, and luckily enough for him, his brother was running late, so they weren't there. But listen, it's horrendous. If he hears that and his mum's in there, the first thing you're going to go in there is think about your mum and try and protect her. There's no way that somebody should be going to football and saying these things. And as I said, something needs to be done about it. And hopefully this investigation's a nice, quick one. And it's no longer, people just talking about what they're going to do. Go and actually do it. Because if they don't, then, I'm happy to call them out.
It's getting tiresome, Chris Burke, isn't it? It's coming up again and again. But it's horrific stuff.
That's, 22 years of age. I actually didn't know his age, but it's horrible to even think if his family were there, Marvin. That's when you see that what he's wrote down. It's really hurtful, isn't it? It's shocking that people still to this day thinks it's acceptable to give racial abuse. I just don't see it. Something needs to be done. Actions need to be taking place, not just words and disciplinary. It has to come really firm for me. Whether that's to have some sort of ghost fans about the stadium, which would probably help, I think, and instantly then they know they can't be saying any things. They're just uneducated, whether that's behaviour learned, Marvin. So it's shocking. He said we have to catch these idiots, and that's him being actually kind.
Yeah,
really, really kind. And being kind to the word saying of cowards as well. We can't say on air what we actually feel, and it's hard to express your feelings through words sometimes, isn't it? And I think that's definitely what's happening right now.
Yeah, we are getting plenty of words. What we're not getting, Marv, is plenty of action. What can be done? What would you like to see happening here?
Well, first and foremost, I want the person caught who's done this. As I said, he was heard within the crowd. One person actually stuck up for Rico, a teammate's father, and said it's unacceptable. Let's get a description of this person. There's got to be cameras within the stadium. There's got to be cameras around the stadium. All fans come out at the same sort of time. So if we want to do something about it, let's go the whole way in trying to do that. As I said, going into a football ground and racially abusing anybody is unacceptable. Doing it to one of your own players is even worse for me. And the boy's 22 years of age. As he said, everyone has a bad game. And I think now some people are thinking, you can say it on social media. So now into society, people are now saying it, and they think it's just another insult. And I've said this many times, when somebody racially abused me, and it's happened to me, I can't describe the pain that you feel from that. As I said, Rico says you have bad games, and people say, oh, you're not been very good today. I'll give you another insult about your ability or anything else. When it comes to my skin colour, it's tough. It's tough. And I'm saying that, I was in my 30s when it happened to me. He's 22 years of age. I don't know how I react to that. You know, at that age, I don't know how I react to that. And one day something's going to happen because, you know, I've spoken to players, I'm not talking about Rico here, but other players it's happened to, and they've been so down. And I worry about their mental health, by the way, you know, what they're going to go away and do. And what's going to happen, someone's going to do something to the extreme, and then we're going to be like, oh, you know, let's sort this out. Let's do it now.
Yeah.
You know, we can't wait anymore. Let's do something about it now. And I hope it's done, as I said. If it's not done and I feel that there's been an opportunity missed, and I'm happy to call people out because, you know, my career doesn't matter to me. You know, my skin colour matters to me a lot more than my career does. And if it means the end of my football career or anything else, because some people see that I shouldn't be saying the things that I'm saying, then so be it.
How was Rico when you spoke to him?
Yeah, no, listen, he's upset, but he's a well-educated boy, as Burke kind of said there about education. He's a well-educated boy. We spoke about it. You know,
he sounds vulnerable there in the words, Marv, and that really hurts.
Yeah.
You know, see when he said there when I was reading it, I might not be the best footballer. You know, it shouldn't even take to how bad a footballer you are or how good a footballer you are.
That doesn't come into it, does it?
But you can tell by his vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, he feels insecure, and he should never feel insecure about the colour of your skin.
Yeah.
Never.
He sat in his car after the game, though. That was the thing. He actually played another game, and he said he just didn't feel like he was out there. He's worried about his mum, although she was kind of away from kind of the area that with other fans. Sorry, she was in a box. But he said, I was just worried about that. After the game, he said, I'm not really happy. I'm normally a bubbly character. So I just sat in my car and I had to write this.
So when did it happen, Marv? Do you know?
I think it was last week. So he's played another game since.
Yeah. So what minute did it happen?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how far into the game it happened. But he didn't find out till after, so he didn't actually hear it.
Right. Okay.
What had happened is one of his teammates' father heard it, and then he had told his son, who then told him. But Berkey, as I said, you know, if you hear these sorts of things, you possibly could go in the crowd and you're putting everyone else in danger. You know, because I couldn't personally run past somebody saying that to me. No. You know, and I think I'm quite strong mentally, but these things cut very, very deep, and you know, you're kind of reactive to the situation, and
you can't excuse your actions after that, no matter what if that's something that's said to you. No, I don't care what anybody says. Don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah,
I don't care.
And your mum's in there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Actions.
It's shameful stuff. It really is. And just a couple of days after Chelsea pledged to take the strongest possible action after a video circulated on social media of a spectator allegedly using abusive language of a sectarian nature towards Aston Villa's John McGinn, the club have launched an investigation into abuse apparently directed at the Scotland midfielder as he prepared to take a corner during Saturday's Premier League match at Stamford Bridge, which Chelsea won 3-0. The club appealing for help in identifying the alleged culprit. What on earth is going on in a Chelsea-Aston Villa game when John McGinn is the subject of alleged sectarian abuse?
Rob, I know it's and the thing is, I don't know if John heard that or not, but it's still it's not acceptable again. I've been abused by that as well, and during my time as a footballer.
Did you report it?
I didn't. No. You know, and maybe I should be more forceful in that. Back in the day when I was a young kid, it's a bit more difficult. It is, you know, you try and seek help from somewhere, but it's great we've got the likes of, you know, Marvin to help young Quitongo there. I didn't have anything really like that back in the day, but again, it's unacceptable, and hopefully it gets investigated quickly, not long term. It doesn't take 5 or 6 weeks. It's so simple how to take action against these people. So simple. And that's why I'm talking about, just off the cuff, thinking about having these ghost fans plotted about the stadium so they know, and they'll probably then think twice about it. And that doesn't make it right, because they're probably still racist and they're probably still against, they'll probably still say sectarianism. But at least it'll try and eradicate it a little bit. That's a start. That's all it is. It's just a start. And then we take the action from there. Let's
speak to Colin, who's an Airdrie fan. Hi, Colin.
Hello there.
Hi. How much did you know at the time, and what are you thinking about what happened to Rico?
No, I hadn't. Listen, is that Rob?
It is, yes.
Right, Rob, I listened to the show. I'm an Airdrie supporter. I listened to all the bits and pieces. I was at the match last night where some of our own supporters were given friendly abuse to Barry Ferguson. But Rico was playing. I know the guys that sit around me are all, you know, they're really taken with the guy. And as I said to the chappie on the intro, I've never felt like phoning a show as much as I heard that stuff that Marv was talking about. He'd spoken to Rico, and it was by our own supporter at the Queen's Park game against. Good Lord. I said to the guy, I'm appalled that one of our own supporters, if he was having a bad game or whatever like that, would shout something about his colour. So I just thought I'd come on and
you're talking. You're not just talking to Rob. You're talking to Marv as well, and Chris Burke. We've been talking about it, Colin. I mean, it's just we're all appalled, Marv, about it, aren't we?
Yeah, no, we definitely are, and you can hear it in Colin's voice there. You know, kind of the shock and the disgust in it. One thing, you know, when people do these sorts of things, whether it's racism or sectarianism, they're not supporters of the football club. They just happen to be in the ground, because you can't say these things about, you know, somebody's skin colour, somebody's religion, and be a real supporter of your football club, and you're offending some of your own. You know, and that for me, you know, Colin, it's not a slight on Airdrie fans, because, you know, the 99% of you are absolutely fantastic. So this one individual, you know, shouldn't change anything that anyone, you know, thinks about the club or views the club. And as I said, he's not a supporter of your football club. He just so happens to be in the stadium. So listen, I can hear the appall in your voice, and you know that makes me feel good. And you know, hopefully Rico's listening in, and if not, I'll pass it on to him. You know, anything that you want to say, because as I said, it's a young man who's trying to earn his trade.
Yep.
And what we need to happen here, Colin, is what we're looking for here is you can say whatever you want back to Marv at the moment, but what I was going to say to you, Colin, was that what we need here is self-policing, isn't it? Within a crowd situation where you weed these idiots out, because they're giving your club a bad name, aren't they?
Well, I never thought I'd actually hear it from our side. And to hear that it was in the so-called or the supporters area, but I'm glad Marv was saying that a teammate's father had outed the guy, and a description to the club. And I've spoken to many of the people at the club in the past about various issues, and I've been dealt with really nicely, and they've always listened to what you've had to say. And I'm hopeful that with a bit of identification, we could nail this so-and-so and get them out.
Yeah, I mean, what's needed, Chris, here is stiff punishment, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is.
That's the only language, if you like, that these people are going to understand.
Of course, and I'm sure Colin would be happy to see what action would be taken against the so-called coward, is what they were, or idiot, or we want to call him, and we can't call him anything else. But there's just no room for it at all. And Marv's totally right. He's not a fan. He's not a fan at all. And you know what? It's probably not even the first time either, Marvin. He's just been caught this time. Yeah. That's it. He's just been caught. So it's obviously happened now, and then we'll see from there. But Airdrie, I don't know if they've released a statement or they're investigating it.
They are investigating.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, rightly so, they should be. But it needs to be quick action, not 5 or 6 weeks. Just quick action. And then maybe people will hopefully learn that is totally unacceptable.
And hopefully Rico is getting the right sort of support as well.
Yeah, he definitely is. You know, he said the club have been absolutely fantastic. You know, he's got his mum and his
brother. Here's a supporter that's throwing in the same.
Yeah, no, exactly, Colin. And as I said, you know, the club have been brilliant with him, his family also. And, you know, people have reached out to him, people who know him, people who don't know him. I'd never come across Rico until, you know, I'd seen what had happened. So I've spoken to him as well. And listen, he's, as I said, he's a clever young man, and he's upbeat about it. Yes, he's extremely upset about what's happened. You know, he said he was worried about actually writing it out and sending it out there, but he says he has to. You know, we need change, and you know, Rico wants to change as well. So, and I'm sure, you know, 99% of the Airdrie fans do as well. So, listen, as I said, hopefully we get to the end, to the bottom of it, as Burke said as well, with the investigation and everything else. But in terms of Rico, you know, he seemed fine, and I'll speak to him again tomorrow, and I'll speak to him as often as I need to.
It's good. You know, he should be proud of himself for what he done today. Yeah. He really should. Yeah. He shouldn't feel embarrassed, Marvin. He should be proud of what he wrote there. Yeah. He's actually took a stance, and something's happening about it. Because if he never wrote that, next week it could have been something. Yeah. And that fan could have ended up in the stadium again.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we get the right outcome here.
One more point, Rob. if I
Yes,
may.
yes, Colin.
I've listened to various phone callers coming in, making their various contributions. Their name escapes me at the moment, but there's some really good guys that come on and make their point very strongly. But I would support Marv and any player of colour that then takes a stance that says, you know what, enough's enough. I'm saying to the ref, I'm walking off. That's enough.
Yeah, we all need to fight the fight, don't we?
Oh, good Lord. I'm 65. I've been going to Airdrie since I was 10.
Yeah.
And I've heard various shouts and catcalls, etc., and none more than the famous Fergie that used to support Hamilton Accies.
Yeah.
And the abuse he gave players at matches. But not once did he shout anything that was detrimental to the way they we didn't have. No, goodness.
Yeah.
But anyway, Marv, support you all the way, my man.
Thank you, Colin.
And
Truly
Colin,
appreciate it.
thanks a lot for giving us a call. It's been good to have you on the show and good to hear your support for Rico and your abhorrence at what went
Yes,
on.
indeed.
You take care of yourself, Colin. All the best.
Right. Many thanks, lad.
Tell Alexa to launch Go Radio or listen on the Go Radio app.